Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SB Interviews where today I have the pleasure of chatting to an act named Kuya Clint, and if we switch over to here we have the man on the
Hello.
screen.
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing today, Kuya Clint? You alright?
What's up? Hello. I'm all good. How about you?
Not
Glad to be
bad.
here.
I'm glad that you're glad to be here, and what can you tell us
Yeah.
about yourself?
So I am here in New Zealand. I was not born and raised here though. I was in the Philippines before my time here. And yeah, I was just been here for like 7 years. And music is something that I just picked up on to be something serious to pursue recently. So yeah, this is kind of like a new beginning when it comes to like chasing a career or like a passion of mine.
What do you especially like about music?
For music, mainly it's just the self-expression and just finding the people that would relate or connect to it. Because I don't really make music to like attract audiences, I guess. Uh, I just make one I want to make. Then if someone likes it, then that's cool. But if not, that's totally fine as well. I mean, everyone likes certain things. And yeah, just if I ever get to like build a community around what I genuinely want to make, that's the best thing that I could get out of it.
Because as I understand it, where are you you're currently based? Is it in New Zealand?
Yeah, I'm in Auckland at the moment.
And what do you like about the Auckland music scene?
Everyone's just doing their own thing, which is nice. It's kind of like them opening up to the people around them. And yeah, it's just like the same thing that I've been doing, which is really cool. It's kind of like this group where I could just be myself.
Because was it like easy to find people to work with considering they're doing their own stuff, or did you find some sort of crossover?
When it comes to people that I've worked with, because again, I've just been doing this recently. I've just been doing music with like friends and like people that I've really taken an interest on along the way. I don't really chase like big names in like the Auckland music scene or stuff like that. If we connect, and that's just about it, really.
No, that's totally fine. Because like, if you were to describe the music you've been working on, how would you do that?
I guess, like I don't know, like professional contacts. I guess, because I've been working with producers too, and like some teachers to kind of like develop my skills as well as a musician. I guess I'd start there as well as going to like open mics and stuff. Yeah, I haven't had really. I didn't have any luck when it comes to like connecting to other people through social media. So yeah, I guess people would tend to connect more with you if it's more of a, like a personal face-to-face kind of thing.
Well, yeah, because then they actually see you playing the instruments and singing and all that
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff.
true. And if they get your vibe and if you get their vibe, it's there'll be like productive music that will be happening. Comes to like quality wise and all that stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the last thing you want is for a passion to feel like work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because like, what was your first open mic like?
I don't know where you're from, to be honest, but I don't know if you know the Win-Win bar. That's kind of like in the Auckland area. Yeah, it was just sort of quiet. I invited some few friends as well. And I think it was just like the owner of the bar, as well as like the bartender, and like just like 2, 3 people that are kind of like waiting. Yes, it's a pretty like welcoming experience for like a beginner to kind of dip your toes in.
Yeah, because I think if you start small, then you can kind of measure expectations. Do you have
Yeah,
friends and family and stuff who are like, do you find they're supportive or are they also kind of objective about your music when they need to be?
that's a good question. When it comes to friends, they're really supportive. When it comes to family, though, they're like, maybe for a hobby, but not like something that you could like take seriously. Because I have no one in my family that has taken the music industry seriously, and it's just like a hobby. So like, I don't know. If I could like be the first one, that would be great. But they only have like my best interest at heart anyway. So
No,
it is what it is.
absolutely. I mean, like, I think that's a healthy thing, right? The last thing you
Yeah,
want is like, I suppose for them to be saying don't do it because they're mean spirited, right?
yeah,
They're looking out for
yeah. They're
you.
like, yeah. Although it kind of could be quite discouraging at times, but oh well. Just have to prove them wrong, I guess.
Exactly. You just got to prove them
Yeah.
wrong. Absolutely. Because so like, what are you working on at the moment?
At the moment, I've just Oh yeah, because at the moment I've only been making songs in English, so I've tried to incorporate my local language as well, which is Tagalog in the Philippines. So yeah, maybe I'll try to like explore some concepts there too.
And so, do you find there are some like what are the main differences between singing in those different languages, and how do they affect your music?
Me, not really, because for me personally, when it comes to like songwriting, it's mainly like just writing a poem in a way with melodies, and you kind of like get to subdivide like lines into syllables, I guess. So there's kind of like a science to it too when it comes to making songs. So yeah, although there are some words here and there in like certain languages, like in English, just like some things that you kind of like bend to sound a certain way so that it'll sound good. But that won't work when it comes to doing it in Tagalog and vice versa too. So yeah, it's a fun learning experience.
And what kind of instruments do you like to produce or write with?
I don't know if you'll consider your voice because I usually just hum along when I try to like make music. I do it at work. Sometimes I just hum along and stuff, or when I wash dishes, for example, or when I go to the bus or like commute. I feel like that's when the ideas start to come instead of like just having to sit down and like seriously write songs with your notebook. It just doesn't come as natural or as authentic.
Because like poetry is fantastic. How do you feel the way people have written lyrics has changed from like when you started getting into music to now?
Oh, I love all of it. I love all of the process. I guess some people would prefer to like just actually sit down and like write lyrics in their notebook or in their computer or on their phones or something. Some people would just and just like the ideas would just start to come. But yeah, I don't know. I like all of them. As long as the output's good, in my opinion. It's all that matters anyway.
Because like with the rise of AI music and all that kind of
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
have you ever felt tempted to have a lazy day on it and kind of get the AI to write some lyrics?
Ah, nah, doesn't feel right to me. Although I've heard some stuff that AI music has made, and they're like, "Oh, this could pass like as something legit," but I don't know. I just don't like it personally.
Ah, okay. So then that's totally fair. So what do you feel is most important when you are writing a song? If not lyrics, and like what's most important?
I guess the essence of it, like if it's something that I could really connect to. For example, if like I'm sad or happy about something, either that song when I play it back again, either it'll take me to that place or it'll either be like support or reinforce the current emotions that I'm feeling. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Like it needs to connect to me.
No, absolutely. So you're saying that emotions are probably one of the most important things in music at this stage.
Yeah. So I don't know. Some people are like, oh, you need to be like super creative. It doesn't need to be like um it shouldn't be like too poppy or like too repetitive or like too bland or too formulaic. Because like at the end of the day, if you connect to it, it's good music in my opinion.
Exactly. And it can be
Yeah.
complicated. Like what range of genres do you usually listen to in your own time if we haven't discussed that already?
Oh yeah. I listen to rap, I listen to rock, I listen to indie. I don't know if that's a genre now, but some people label it as like a separate thing. So like indie, rock, rap. I don't know if I said that already. And like pop, folk music, I guess. Yeah, like mainly those ones. And it kind of like just branch out to like specific sub genres anyway.
I am gonna move myself over to
Hey, cool.
here. Here we go on
Yeah.
my screen, so we can see your whole face now. That's fantastic.
Nice.
So it's just my mic stand just into the ether, just sticking out with the green screen. Something there. It's totally
Oh
fine.
yeah, no, I also have like a potato setup here too. Very DIY.
Oh no, you're all good, man. Honestly, yours looks professional, man. It's got that kind of like lo-fi aesthetic to it. So what makes it lo-fi though musically?
I guess the production value. I think that's what makes things lo-fi. It's just very DIY, not a lot of like fancy equipment and that sort of stuff. You just make what you can with like the things that you have.
Is like,
Yeah.
what do you usually use to make that music? Do you have specific like equipment you prefer, or
I have this guitar that I had since like 2018 that I still use. Then I have this DAW. that is FL Studio, and I don't buy any like plugins with it at the moment. It's just all stock plugins. Then after that, it's just like MIDI keyboard or something, and that's about it. I just go crazy with it.
No, it's a good setup. Honestly, genuinely, I think that's how a lot of people start. What do you like about FL Studio? Because I'm hearing some good things about it.
Oh, it's just easy to play with, and there's like a lot of guides and stuff when it comes to um how to use it. Also, like yeah, like YouTube and all of that stuff, and like how to guides. Although I guess some people would have their own preferences, but I'm broke. I'm a broke student, so the fact that like you could just buy it one off is really good. It's like really helpful to me.
Oh,
It's
for
like yeah,
sure. Because as I understand it, like the mid package, not the entry one, but the mid one comes with like a whole lot of instruments and stuff like that as well, doesn't it?
I don't know if like the other DAWs are in a subscription plan as well, but yeah, I feel like is Pro Tools in a subscription base? Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Just quickly, because this isn't my interview, it's yours. I am familiar with the Pro Tools subscription model.
Yeah.
Um, so your Pro Tools is just an absolute dumpster fire. They've been trying subscriptions for years, and when you download it, they put de novo stuff on your computers, and it runs worse than if you bought it before. Logic's
Oh
good
yeah.
because I think Logic there's a student license. Reason is now a part of most digital audio workstations because Reason couldn't sort of last on their own. Like they just became a plug-in pack. FL Studio was
Okay.
FL Studio used to be Fruity Loops,
I thought that's what FL means. Fruity Loops, just FL. Then it just
but it
yeah.
used to just be Fruity Loops. They just had it as
Oh,
Fruity
got you.
Loops, and then they were like, "We've got to make it a bit more trendy," so they made it FL Studio, and then I think that's when
Got
people
you.
decided to take it a bit more seriously. Eh?
Yeah. Then they just kept the fruit shape as their logo. Just to remind them of what it once was. Fruity Loops.
Absolutely. And absolutely. So like for you, yeah, like all the YouTube tutorials and all that kind of stuff. Like how helpful has that been for you in learning how to use all this stuff?
I guess when it comes to making music, as far as like the learning curve goes, it's kind of not that steep when you're starting, but like the more you get into it and the more advanced you get, or like the more experience that you have and like the time that you spend on it, that's when you finally realize like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time, but there's still some stuff that I still don't know, which is pretty exciting in a way too, because you'll never run out of stuff to learn. Yeah, it's just a fun process. If you really like music, you'll never get bored.
So like at your current stage as a musician, like what's the next thing that you're working towards at this point? Like what are your future goals?
Future goals, maybe just reinforce and like build more on what I've started as my foundation. Because I play the guitar, I sing, so I guess some vocal lessons would work too. Guitar lessons would work too. Getting to explore and like master the FL Studio would be great too. Then as far as like the songwriting goes, some some songwriting techniques would be good too here and there. But I also need to like live more and like experience things.
Because how do you balance the kind of uni life with the music stuff?
I don't. It's just stressful, man. It's been hard. Yeah, I had to like take a break to like really focus. I'm on my last semester, which is good. It shouldn't be too far long.
I suppose you'd have exams coming up, right?
I'm in my internship. Like that's the only thing that I have left from
Oh
my
yeah.
industry project. Yeah, I don't know if the people or like your audience know what that is though. But yeah, it's like an on the job training, I guess. Like internship mixed with like
Ah,
research too.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not like it's probably good that you get that job training because the last thing you want is to just
Yeah.
get the degree and just go cope.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I'm not rich, so I need my own safety net when it comes to making music too.
Oh, that's smart though. Like even if you're
Yeah.
the most insanely viral musician, like that doesn't always last forever. You know?
Yeah. And you hear like success stories of like, oh, I used to live in this car, or like I used to live under the bridge, or like I was homeless before I make it big. I'm like, that's too much risk though.
Oh, yeah. I think that's just smart, right? Why struggle if you don't necessarily have to?
I mean, still though, like respect to them for like doing that. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like doesn't feel right to me.
What would your ideal situation be like after, this final semester? How would you work things with your music stuff?
Probably just set aside like a time for it. Like instead of just like sleeping in or like playing games and stuff, like actually putting the work in to like make music. Because I feel like working 9 to 5 for like Mondays to Fridays just autopilot at some point. Then like you really get to be creative and like express yourself with music afterwards. So yeah, it's gonna take some discipline to reinforce being creative too.
Absolutely. Like, do you think that you'll try? Because you did you talk about producers earlier on? You're working with other producers, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've worked with three. Yeah, for the first one, I'd rather not name any names. He's good, but yeah, his style just doesn't mesh with mine personally. Yeah. Then for the second and the third one, they I like them. And the second one kind of like meshes with a certain genre that I like to explore, and same with the third one. So yeah, working with like other people too and kind of like discovering relationships with in the music industry would also like help you develop your own music too and like your own voice, your own style.
Yeah, and it's great experience with studio time. Great experience with
Yeah.
studio time. Yeah.
Yeah, my first time was rough. I had to like extend a lot. Yeah. Definitely some lessons learned.
Yeah, I think that that's a normal thing, right? How are you gonna know what it's like to go into a studio until you take the jump, take a leap?
Yeah, make sure you practice on time, make sure you practice with the metronome, make sure you get some takes that you like, be professional. Yeah, all that stuff.
Ah, the metronome. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the metronome is understated because you got when we record, right? We have if we haven't learned to record to a click track, we were gonna learn to record to a click track.
Yeah, way underrated. You're gonna be forced to.
Because do you typically, I know you mentioned guitar, right? With the other instruments, are they typically sort of acoustic or are they sort of more sort of like samples and stuff?
Ah, to be honest, I just cheat my way with it because like I use my guitar, but I don't have something to like plug it onto my computer. So what I do is I kind of like play with like notes and like rhythm and stuff. Then I just do it manually with like a MIDI keyboard that comes with the FL Studio. Then I try to like mess up with like the velocity and stuff. I'm so sorry. This is way too technical, but for like some listeners, but yeah, try to like make it sound human. Then I try to like just make it work.
No, no, it's okay. We can have that conversation. It's all good. And if anyone asks
I
in the comments, I can help out. There are
got you,
lots
got
of
you.
fun plugins, right? There are plugins where
Yeah.
like they try to emulate like there's do you know the SSL plugins?
If you need to buy it, I don't know it.
Solid state logic,
No.
right? This is the way stuff's changed. They were like a company that used to make $150,000 mixing discs. And what they realized is that in the 21st century, no one is buying $150,000 mixing discs.
Yeah,
So
no one
they've
can. In this
released,
economy, no.
no, not in this economy. I think there's like I legit think, I remember when I got my diploma in audio engineering and music production from Mains, there were like 4 or 5 of them in the country, right, at that stage. And so they've now realized no one's buying them. So they're making a literal $150,000 disc channel strip into a plugin and you have it in your digital audio workstation like FL Studio, and it emulates
Actually,
it.
oh, that's dope. That's way more accessible. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
However, it is a subscription service.
yeah. Nah. At the
um,
moment, it's me and Flex. We're just like tight like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I love that you're smart about it because sometimes you hear the stories of people buying a lot of music gear, even if they don't have a lot of cash to spend. And then they're like, what
Yeah.
do I do with all this music gear, right?
Yeah, and personally, like just having a lot of choices to work with is just paralyzing. Like there's so many to choose. You know how like when you're trying to like choose your outfit for the day and you have like so many clothes and you have no idea what to wear? I feel like it's the same thing for me. When it comes to like making music. I'd rather have just like three, four of like things to choose on than just like be creative with it after.
I suppose with the understanding that you're figuring FL Studio out, that you're getting your guitar sorted and you're probably going to be looking for vocal lessons. I think it's smart. Not that I think you need them, but
Uh,
I think if we have our techniques sorted, we can sing for ages.
yeah, and if you have more when it comes to like my voice, for example, the more it gets trained, the more versatile it gets, and the more you get like more creative with it. Sometimes you can incorporate other singing styles from other genres and like put it in rap, for example, which will make like more music that's like more creative and like it'll also be helpful in like getting your point across or like the things that you want to express in your music.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, it's all about having that sort of authenticity and expression of your vocals, having the instruments
Yeah.
playing. Like, what's your music theory like?
Music theory, I'm pretty self-taught, so and I mainly just get music theory from like patterns that I tend to pick up to like songs that I listen to. I think that's most of my music theory so far.
By the way, we've been going for. I'm just going to quickly just pause the video because my Zoom subscription has like a 40-minute time limit, and I just want to make
Oh, gotcha.
sure. I'll be
Okay,
right
okay.
back in a moment,
Okay.
okay? Cool, because I was just having a look through my notes from the interview as well. We should probably talk about a few of your songs. Because I had to listen through some of your
Yes.
songs on Spotify and stuff like that as well, such as Waiting and Puppy Love and Only You and
Yes. Thank you,
Streets.
by the way. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
you're welcome. The least I can do is listen to your stuff
Yeah.
before like the interview, right?
Yes.
So what's your favorite song or one of your favorite songs out of what you've released recently?
I like Puppy Love. I like Streets. I also like Prom Night. And yeah, other than that, it depends on my mood. Because like I like those ones like across the board, but sometimes when I'm feeling a certain way, I like or prefer some songs more than the other.
Because I've heard songs like Puppy Love and everything like that, and I think this is this is clearly a love song, but like also the synth pads and everything like that sound very sophisticated. It's got that kind of lo-fi aesthetic, like musicians like Joji and stuff like that, which I enjoy.
Yeah, and Grant Perez. I don't know if you know him, but yeah,
Now I don't. How would you describe their style?
they get to the point and they put the emotions of the song first and foremost to the listeners. So like they get the atmosphere going, they get the vibe going first, then they'll say what they want to say after. I think that's how their order of priorities go when it comes to making their songs.
Because there's a softness with the way that you express yourself in a lot of these tracks, right? It's very approachable. It's got that kind of R&B aesthetic to it as well. How do you maintain equilibrium when you're singing these tracks?
Mm, I I don't know. Sometimes it feels like theater, like acting. Like you need to like project your voice a certain way, and also you can also because I make my instrumentals as well too. So making my I guess you'd say beats, like your beats a certain way, so that also helps you project those emotions too. Would help.
Because, I've heard these songs and you've used like seventh chords and stuff like that, which are typically quite like emotively complex, which is kind of what you want, right? You don't want to,
Yeah.
like majors and minors are great, but they're kind of basic sounding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like sevens are also like specific if you want them to hit a certain way.
Because like usually they're complicating a major or minor chord, but ironically,
Mhm.
there's just because of how you use them and the consistency, there's an actual expectation from the listener when they're used.
Yeah, and this is as far as my music theory goes, but like they say that major chords are happy, then like minor chords are sad. But sometimes you could also like juxtapose it on like the emotions that you want to make. You can use like major chords and it's a sad song, for example, or like the lyrics are sad. I feel like that also creates like a stronger effect too sometimes when you contrast it sometimes, like the songs that you make.
No, no, it's okay because I've also heard tracks where you've got featured artists like Zai. Waiting was a beautiful song.
Oh, thank you, man. We Yeah, I made that by myself first, then I wrote our verses, I made the instrumentals too. Then I just invited her to like, oh, maybe you can like sing this because I feel like she's gonna sing some parts better than I ever will. So
I mean, they are a fantastic singer, but I feel like you complemented each other well. You were at different ranges of the frequency spectrum. And it was like a
mm,
conversation that you were having with one another.
yeah, it is. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I mean, like, are you wanting to do more collaborations like that in future?
Yes, but I feel like I also need to explore how to make myself as my own feature, as weird as that sounds. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah. I'm asking for support to like get the message across, but I feel like I should also be able to do that just by myself on certain songs too.
Because you released an album recently, right? If I'm not mistaken, there was an album. And
Yes,
how do you
High
feel
School
about that album?
Sweethearts.
High School Sweethearts. And how do you feel about that one?
Yes. Oh, I like it. It's very nostalgic for me because it's a very personal, kind of like a diary entry-ish album.
It's kind of a beautiful thing, really. Like, so you have like a fondness for high school.
Nah,
Nah.
nah, nah. I only like High School Sweethearts because meeting my girlfriend at the time was like the saving grace for me.
Oh, yeah, because it was
Yeah,
like a lot of that was
everything
like
else
the
was
journey.
rough.
Oh, I'm sorry
Yeah,
to hear that.
yeah, it's okay though.
Because yeah, I remember listening to some of that tracks, and it was like your journey going through that, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Although there's like some songs where like, oh, this is really what happened in our relationship, but some other songs like Everything or like Decay, it's kind of like what ifs scenarios. Yeah, they're kind of like, I guess they're like worst case scenarios for me because they're kind of like discussing breakups and stuff, which I don't want to happen. But unironically, like if you get the feeling that you are about to lose them and stuff like that, I feel like that's more the feeling of love expresses itself. Like, oh, I really don't want to lose this person.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because sometimes it feels
Yeah,
like you're catastrophizing, but that can actually just be a reminder of how you feel about that person.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like manifests itself in other ways too.
So, what are you wanting to do with that album? Like, is there a focus on like being able to do some like live shows at some point, or like do more sort of like gigs with that material, or?
To be honest, I haven't really thought that far ahead. I just wanted to like get my point of view across to like other people out there if they do get a chance to listen to it. Because I feel like in today's society, there's just way too many like breakups, cheating. You should be like this. You should be like that. Like Riz, like high value woman, man, and like Alpha, Sigma, all that kind of stuff. Just fall in love. It's a great thing too to experience.
Yeah, because like you mentioned
Yeah, yeah,
potentially when I do some like music and other Tagalog, if I'm not mistaken, right? So would
yeah.
that be like, would you be trying to like reference that within the lyrics whilst also talking about similar stuff in the previous album, or do you think it would be like a completely different sort of like subject matter?
Um, I might also like add in some familiar ones too, just for like for audiences to kind of like transition into like the new ideas that I want to explore. But yeah, for the next one that I'm making, hopefully I'll be more introspective and not just like all love songs.
I mean, to be fair to you, love songs work. I mean, I think the last 100 years, a lot of
Yeah, that's
careers
true.
have been made off of love songs, right?
Yeah, I think it's also an influence of like the music that I've just been listening to lately. I just wanted to like dig and like just reflect on myself as well and like make songs off of that.
How will you make your love songs stand out? Like, what do you do to make your love songs stand out amongst the other love songs that have come before?
I think that'll be based on the love that I've experienced too. Because if I say to other people or like if other people ask or like, oh, where did you guys meet? I'll be like, oh, we met in 2017. Then we only been together for like a year. Then like we've been on this long distance relationship since until from like 2017 to 2014, 2024 afterwards, sorry. And like we've been on like the 7 years long distance relationship. And they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like how do you guys last long and like how do you make it work? Like just from that point, I feel like I'm already like unique enough to like other people when it comes to like writing love songs in that perspective. I think that yeah, just like making sure that the point gets across. What's gonna make me unique mainly?
Yeah, because what do you feel like when you look at the musicians that you've kind of looked up to, like what was it, Grant Perez and you know like Joji and Party Next Door and Drake and Rex Orange County and Rennie and stuff like that. Like, if I'm not mistaken, those would be some of your
Yeah,
influences,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's
what
true.
do they do to be unique?
Most of those artists are already like pretty established, so they need to like again, this is just my opinion. I think like at that point in their careers, they also need to cater to their audience, especially Drake. I mean, like putting aside like all of the controversies and like that happened in the past few months, but yeah, because like artists like him, like he's done a lot of things already for the entirety of this career. and it's gonna be pretty difficult and like challenging to explore some ideas that are gonna be really, really genuine to him. So I don't know. I think it's the longevity for him. For the others, I'm not really sure. I just like their music.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. So
Yeah.
is it more about establishing yourself and then continuously trying to make music that you like or exploring different things?
Yeah, and when it comes to like artists that I like, the main thing that I just get from them are like technical abilities, like how they sing or like how they structure their songs if they do make them. And yeah, and when it comes to like the essence or like the points that they want or like the messages that they want to get across to their audience, I don't tend to like copy what they do in that aspect. I just like it to be me and like personal.
So I've been to Auckland, I know what it's like. Um, have you partaken in any of the music funding opportunities that are available?
To be honest, not at the moment because I'm in my permanent residency. Like they're really strict when it comes to their eligibility requirements. So like who gets funded.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't have access to that at the moment. I think I'll need to check, but I don't have the time for it at the moment though. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I know that at face value that seems like an awkward question, but what I mean is like when you get the opportunity to do so, it seems like at your level, I don't see you after because again after listening to music, I don't think you're that far off what a lot of musicians who get their funding are doing. Like
Oh,
in
thank
terms
you. Yeah, I think it's a really big thing here in New Zealand of like if you're not a permanent resident or you're not a citizen, most of these benefits you won't get them. You really need to be like in here.
if you were to get like the like the funding, like let's just say they gave you money for because this is the interesting situation, we're in, right? Back in the day,
Yeah.
they would have given funding for like an album recording or something like that, but you've done one, so
Yes.
you've made an
For
album.
two
So
projects, yeah.
yeah, so like, what would you do with that if they were like, "Hey, here's this thing. What would you do with that for your music?"
Oh, to be honest, I just put them all into like marketing and like promoting my songs.
Ah, because the social
Yes.
media is a big thing nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also just so saturated. Like you really need to like spend a lot in my opinion just to like get yourself out there. I mean, you can bank on being viral, but there's so many artists that are trying to do that too. And if you do get viral, like the quality of your audiences or like your fans, no offense, but yeah, I've seen like a lot of people commenting on like musicians' posts and they're like, "Oh, I only just know the chorus to be honest. I don't know what the other verses are."
Right, that's
Yeah,
brutal
it
because
is.
that's like I only care about the catchy part. Why is that? Why are people so sort of hyper fixated on choruses and stuff like that at the moment anyways?
Not even the choruses, because they mainly attach it to like a meme or like a skit, and they make it instead of like enjoying the song for what it is, they enjoy it as a punchline for a joke or like a they call this like a synced audio for like some other like meme or like yeah, which is rough.
And of course, there are labels currently trying to take advantage of that by trying to like
Yeah,
specifically. I think I was reading somewhere where like there was this musician, and they would not be able to fulfill the conditions of their contract unless they made a specific amount of like TikTok or social media posts every
yeah,
week.
and that's one of the situations that I don't want to end up on because at some point it'll feel like a job, and I don't want this to feel like a job, you know?
I mean, like to be fair to you, I think if I'm not mistaken, you have a YouTube channel that does like
Yes,
guitar tutorials.
but that I also want to do. It'll feel like a job if I don't want to do it.
Ah, but it's cool though,
Yeah.
and you get a good amount of views on those videos, eh?
If like some like label manager or something tells me to like make 10, I don't know, like TikToks of them, gonna be like, I don't want to do this. The first one was fun. The next nine's just that's just rough.
Yeah, like I suppose if you got a major label record contract, but you had to do like a daily TikTok dance, would you?
I would nah
and
nah.
And like this isn't like I don't think this is too much of like a early 30s boomer take from me, right? It's just
Yeah.
it's like it seems like a lot of people are trying to be like funny and entertaining and like quirky and stuff, but then they write
Yeah.
music. and it's just real heavy stuff. And I
Yeah,
some
I
yeah.
guess I'm a boomer too because I feel the same way.
Oh mate, you're in uni. You're nowhere near a boomer. You're fine. You're all good.
That's true.
Your life has just begun. Trust me.
Ah, yeah.
And that's the awesome thing. This is why I'm happy for you, because not only do you have like you found it's an again, I've looked at your YouTube channel and you've got a bit of a niche there with your guitar tutorials. People seem to be vibing with those. And you've
Yeah,
released an album, and how old are you?
I'm 24.
And that's good. Like you're still technically
Really?
in your early
Wow.
20s, and like that's a lot to accomplish in that time.
Because you hear a lot of musicians that are famous, especially in like America, for example. They're just so young. You feel left out for at some like in a way. Like they start to get like famous in like 19, 18.
True, I understand that. To be fair, are they also getting help?
That is true. Good point. Yeah.
Um, it's like with like I don't know how familiar you are with the K-pop industry, right? A lot of these like
Yeah.
adults who go big, they're like teenagers and maybe even like slightly younger when their parents put them into these places, and they just get put into
Yeah.
training camps through their teenage years, and they're not allowed to date, and they're not allowed to do any of that stuff. And then when they get to when they're older, they're still not allowed to have relationships, and they're basically, even though they're successful, still young, they don't
Yeah.
necessarily have a life.
Not everyone gets everything, eh?
Yeah. But you, my dude, you have music and you have YouTubes. And so I suppose for you, it's just continuing to build on what you've got while sort of exploring potential opportunities. And yeah.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
So like what would you tell your younger self, if like you could talk to them when they were starting off with music, what advice would you give them?
Don't be too hesitant on like what other people are going to say when it comes to doing stuff that you want. Because I feel like other people, especially if they start out early and they don't have like anything for themselves or like they haven't proved anything yet, just like take that small step first, then everything else is gonna follow. And just be consistent too. There's always going to be someone that's going to appreciate what you're doing. It might not be your, I don't know, might not be your closest friends, might not be your closest family, but there's always going to be someone that'll appreciate what you're making.
Yeah, and typically it does. We need to learn it, and then we need to sort of like figure out. And sometimes, I mean, I know we talked about like people getting famous when they were younger. Sometimes that virality when you're young can be more of a curse because you might not know everything you need to know in order to make the most of it.
That's true, because I feel like it's also going to be a challenge to keep getting better. If your first one is your best, subjectively, when it comes to like other people listening to your songs, like you've already made a high bar for yourself.
If you were to become a professional musician, you would have 40 years more of music before you retired. Can you imagine making music for another 40
Yeah.
years?
Yes, but at some point, I don't know. I mean, even right now, I don't really feel like impressing people. I don't really thrive on doing that. Like trying to like make myself fit or like contort myself a certain way just to like get the approval of like this group of like or just even just one person. That's not
Hmm.
really how I do things. Yeah, I'll make 40 years worth of music, but I don't think everyone's gonna like them. But I'll
Well,
like them.
to be fair, that's not the point, though, is it? I suppose if you're making music that you like,
Yeah.
again, yeah, as you said, it's not always gonna people aren't always gonna like it, but if you like it, then you're halfway there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything else is just a bonus.
So I assume you're probably gonna sort of remain an independent musician then, if we're sort of wary about like getting with like a label, or if there was like an indie label that reached out, would you be open to that at some point, or?
Only if I get to have terms that are in my favor. I don't want to be like this overworked like music person that just spits out money for them. I don't really want to be that. I feel like that's also like some type of hell.
Yeah, basically just like a cash cow going, "Moo, I made a song today," and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't want to be that. That'll like, yeah, that'll make me fall off quick.
Yeah, because then of course people will see that you might not be being totally authentic about it, and then they'll be like, "No, this guy
Yeah,
doesn't actually
imagine,
feel this way."
yeah, imagine doing a TikTok dance and then you just see it in your eyes that you're just dead inside. And you're like, I don't want to do it.
I remember watching this documentary on Netflix. There was like a cult of TikTok dancers, and they basically got indoctrinated into the cult, and then they would just dead-eyed make TikTok dances, and they made a lot of money, but they were so in the sauce, they didn't even know who they were anymore.
Yeah, nah, I don't want to be that. That just sounds rough.
Disclaimer that, like, I know, for me personally, I know there's a lot of cool stuff that's probably put on TikTok. There's just some nightmarish stuff as well. But, you know, more importantly, Mr. Kuya Clint, what would you like to say to the audience about where they can find you or your music?
Yes, so you can find me almost all of the music streaming platforms. You'll see me in Apple Music, you'll see me in Spotify, see me in YouTube. I think those are the main ones. You can also tag me in my music when you're gonna put them on like your Facebook or Instagram stories. That'd be dope too. But yeah, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all, hey man, this is your interview. It's what it's about. It's learning more about you. So, is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to say to any viewers before we finish up the interview for today?
Yeah, so again, my name is Kuya Clint. I just made this recent album just called High School Sweethearts. I hope you guys like it. That's the same way that I just also enjoyed making those songs too. I also have this my very first EP which is called Missing You. So yeah, be able to see me in your music streaming platforms and hope you guys enjoy them too.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
just
Thank you.
just so it's known, that is good music. So if you're watching this, please do go check out Kuya Clint's music, both the EP and the
Hey,
album. But thank you very much for coming into this interview
thanks
today,
again, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. I'm a
and
fellow Spiderhands too.
well, thank you very much, and best of luck for the
No worries.
last semester, eh?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Have a fantastic day.
You too. See you.
And that was my interview with Kuya Clint. It was great to chat to them. I think they're a fantastic musician. It's nice to hear another Kiwi musician making their way in the world. There are some great tunes here. Like, again, we've got the titles like Waiting, Only You, Modern Romance, Love Letters, as well as the High School Sweethearts, Missing You, Puppy Love, and all that kind of stuff. And so ultimately, I just think this is a really positive sort of like a musician to look for. And I hope you have lots of fun with their music. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need all the help in the world with the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next interviews. Spiderhands out.